Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building a Nation Added Time at the end of Season 3. Now, if I sound a little bit odd today, it's because basically I feel like absolute crap, to be quite honest with you guys. I know a few times I've said that I might need to have a break, and I've always sort of pushed through that because, you know, I sort of like, I enjoy making the videos. It's just that unfortunately lately things have just got a little bit to the point where I'm not really enjoying it that much just because, unfortunately, with other things going on as well, yeah. But yeah, so I may have to take a proper break soon because this is getting a little bit much, and I don't want to be putting out half-assed videos, basically. That's the last thing I'd want to do, so that might have to happen relatively soon, unfortunately, if things carry on like this. Anyway, let's do some analysis, because nothing gets you feeling better like analysis. So I've added the age column to this screen because people said they wanted to see it, and that kind of makes sense. What we're going to do first is we're going to go do the squad report, but I'm also going to go through the under-19s and reserves, picking out and showing you guys any other players that we've brought in that you might not have seen play as much because obviously they've been out on loan or they've been doing all kinds of other jazz, you know, whether they've been painting the shed and all that stuff. So let's jump in with Pione Sisto and have a little look at how he's developing pretty bloody well, I suppose, is the best way we could look at this. He's got so many crazy good stats. He's 23 years old now, so you got to feel like most of his stats, he's starting maxing his potential out a little bit at the moment. He's on moon money at the club and still only valued at 4.5 million. If I was to predict of any player that might get sold in the summer, and I don't mean by me, I mean by the board, he would be up there, and I feel like they're very close to doing that. And if they accept anything less than about 20 million, which obviously they will do because it's the board, I will be absolutely infuriated. So prepare for that one in the future. I've just noticed that he's got a terrible jumping reach, but I'm assuming it's not that tall. No, he's not, but he's an incredible player and has had a wonderful, wonderful season for us, so we can't fault him there. Ramadan Sobhi, he, as much as some of his stats do look a little bit low in certain areas, he's just been such an incredible player for us. And I think his versatility playing all across the middle, he can play, sorry, not all across the middle, that makes no sense. He can play as the attacking mid and both of the wide attacking mids, which is really, really useful. And it does appear, based on the potential ability there anyway, that there's a bit more to come from him. He is only 20, so maybe next year he can take it up another notch. You know, his composure's gone up, his vision's gone up, which is nice. He's got some really decent physicals as well. Not bad jumping reach, which I suppose he's a lot taller, which kind of helps. No long throws though, and that's really bad. We need that long throw to be right up there. Good determination. I think, you know, he's been developing nicely, which is what we want. Tim Sparv, on the other hand, I feel like at 31, it might be wise to try and move him on in the summer because he's only got 1 year left on his contract. And I feel like if we can move him on then to another club in Denmark, that would do them the world of good because he's a solid defensive mid. But I feel like someone like Singh can certainly deputise in there. And we've also got Santos in the meantime that can play that role for us as well. And he's much younger. And you never know, you know. And maybe in the summer we'll be able to sign someone else. Who knows at this point? It's all up in the air. Patrick Bangard. A lot of people said, you know, with this starting of the save, you know, he's important for you, you need to keep him. I mean, he's good, I'm not going to deny that, he is, but I feel like we could definitely do better in this position. However, he's certainly done a good job for us this year. I feel like he's done relatively decently, although looking at his ratings in the league, a 6.97 is not that strong, but I suppose he's not really had to do a lot of defending most of the time in the league, and I'd like to think that's probably part of the reason to do with it, potentially. So looking at Juan Cruz, another of the players that I think we might struggle to hang on to, which would really, really suck. 17 finishing now. He's got that finishing touch, and that is damn useful. And he's nearly 2 meters tall, which is incredibly useful as well. Surprisingly, only 11 heading. That's something I'd really like to see him boost up a little bit. But, you know, he's got those, I don't know, looking at the attribute chart, I think there's a lot more to come from this lad, and if we can hang on, I feel like he could be a really good player for us for years to come. Already 3 stars. I swear before it was saying that he didn't have as much potential as that, but it does appear as though my scouts, maybe it's the new scouts, I don't know, or coaches, or maybe he's just realising it a bit more, and as a result has bumped it up. Or was that Arietta? I can never bloody remember. Point is, he's looking good for us, and that's the main thing. Johan Dahlin, 31 years old, obviously he's a goalkeeper, so they've got a lot more longevity to them, and I expect he'll be around for quite a while still, but I would like to bring in a young keeper, because the fact is we rotate the squad so much that the young keeper would get plenty of game time anyway, if he was available, and I'm hoping that man will be Cesar Fernandez once he finally joins us, because this guy, as much as he's a good keeper, obviously he's a good keeper, but still, I feel like we could do better, and hopefully by rotating a young keeper into the team and getting him 20 games a season for the first few years, he can slowly start to overtake Darlene until such time as he is the number 1 keeper, because we rotate so much, we can actually get away with doing that, thankfully. Mikael Julen, he's a player that really this year has been kind of left out in the cold, and I actually at one point did consider moving him on to another Danish side, and we actually had a bid from Copenhagen of like £200,000, which again, as you can see from his value, is completely derisory, but I would have accepted it because it's them. In fact, I'd probably knocked it down a little bit. The problem was, because of when we were getting all those bids for him, you know, massive money, I had an auto reject, and unfortunately it auto rejected them as well, and when I sort of turned it all off and offered them for free to them, they weren't having it, which was really, really odd, but a little bit annoying. I might try and move him on to them in the summer and see if, or maybe to someone like Odense. You know, they've got a bit of money now, you'd like to think, with the then again they came third, didn't they? So they've probably lost themselves about £1 million in so doing. So maybe he could be one to move on. Michael Greenwood, yes. Enthusiastic centre-back, which is good. He doesn't dive into tackles. He's got really good ratings, actually. 7.18 for his games in the league so far. He's now rated as an American, interestingly. That's very strange. He was Peruvian, but he's now decided to declare for America, I guess, which kind of, I guess we could expect, but I'd have thought he would have got in the Peruvian team a lot quicker than the American one. But hey, obviously he's got some ambition, which is nice to see from him. Got decent marking as well. He's got solid centre-back stats, which is why I was basically interested in him. 2.5 stars in this team. I think next year we could certainly see him be one of the breakout stars of this club and one of the first few players to really establish themselves as a constant first-team threat in this team. Paul Griffiths. Now, for me, he is the sort of the natural successor, currently anyway, to Filip Novak. Now, the way his hair's tapered, it looks like he might have a man bun growing at the back there. We just can't actually see it. He's 19 years old. He's a fullback. He's still low on the current ability, but I feel like, you know, some more game time this year. He's definitely got some potential to play well for us. And, you know, cup games, rotation with the squad, which is obviously what we're doing a lot of, particularly towards the end of the season. And we will be towards the start as well, what with the whole European situation we'll have. No doubt he'll be playing a lot of football. He's got nice physicals as well for a 19-year-old. I want to see more from him next year, and I think we will do, because he looks like the natural successor to Novak at the moment. But again, that could all change with players being brought in. Kian Hansen, the man who can play in many, many positions. Again, I feel like over the next couple of seasons, he may well get phased out and replaced by the likes of Greenwood and Sakiba, but he's done a bloody good job for us this season. Solid performances across most competitions, apart from the Champions League, where I don't really think he played that badly. In fact, he even scored a goal in one of the games. I think he scored the goal away at Benfica, did he not? Not Benfica. Or was it Benfica? I can't even remember. Anyway, he sort of maxed his potential out, as you would imagine, really. But I like the guy, and he will definitely be staying with us until such time as I feel like we've got someone to replace, and then I'll probably be able to move him on to another Danish side because, of course, he's Danish, and that'll make it a lot easier, I think. Junior Ibrahim, he's, of course, out on loan at Randers at the moment, but I felt like that was a necessary move for us to make, to get him out on loan, to give him a chance to get some real football under his belt. And as you can see, 8 goals, 5 assists in the league so far for Randers. Clearly, he's having a good time there, and I wonder if another loan spell next year might not be such a bad idea for him. Maybe moving him on loan to someone like AGF or Odense might not be such a bad idea as well, because when you look at his record for them, he's actually scored more goals for them than he has for us in less games, which is noticeable. Karen, and I love this lad. Really sort of came out of nowhere to be a really, really solid player and a starter in our team very, very quickly as well. 3 caps for Finland, still only 19 years old, which is lovely. 7.46 average rating in the league, which is astonishingly good, despite only having 1 goal and 1 assist this year. He's all about the key passes, if I was to guess, and we'll notice that, of course, in a second when we start taking a look at that screen. Nikolai Kirk is basically the same player, the same type of player anyway, as Kerenan, but they both can function in that midfield as a pair, because obviously they can switch between their 2 roles, and apparently Kirk is worth a lot more money than Kerenan, which is interesting, maybe based on his nationality, I don't know, but 1.2 million for Nikolai Kirk now. He is a really good player, and I expect that we'll get plenty of bids for him in the summer as well. Apologies, a bag just fell over in the background. Our Mobile. He's on loan at AGF. How has he done at AGF so far? He's been okay, you know, averaging a 7 for them, 4 assists, nothing special. But I will try to move him on permanently in the summer. If AGF want him, they can have him. If not, we'll move him on to another side in Denmark. That's the plan anyway, because I don't see him having a future here. But he could definitely surely benefit some other clubs in Denmark, which is the main thing. Rajvan Marin, who of course is, well, he's back here now. I think he was on loan for a little bit at Sønderjyske, but he got a really bad injury, in fact, as you can see, the torn hamstring there. But, you know, I mean, how well did he actually do for them? He didn't play for us. He put in some solid performances for a really poor side, so we certainly can't fault him in that one. I don't know whether he's actually going to find a place in this team, or whether moving him on in the summer to another one of these sides on the cheap might not be such a bad idea as well, actually. Although it depends on what his situation is like after the hamstring injury, of course. Stefan McWalter, the young Scot, who I actually really like this guy. I think that once he gets more competent in that advanced winger role, he could be really, really useful, because he's got that great crossing and great dribbling and some other good areas of his game. Okay, his finishing's a bit poor, but that's fine. That solid determination and teamwork. I like the guy. He's not played that many times for us this year, as you can imagine, but I don't know, I feel like there's a future for this lad, and hopefully he will become a bright spark for us. I can see him definitely being a Scottish international one day, with that level of potential in the team that we've got currently. Alexander Munksgaard, probably one of my favourite players in this save right now. Look at some of those physical stats. He's still only 20 years old. I mean, he's only got 12 crossing. That's the thing for me that is amazing. He's only got 11 vision and 12 crossing. And I feel like if we could get a player that fulfills that type of role, better and has better stats in those positions than Munksgaard on that wing, we could absolutely tear teams apart down that right hand side, because he doesn't even have the best stats for that role really. But I mean, look at that, 16 assists in the league, 22 overall, fantastic stuff from him really. Apologies for that. So yeah, Philip Novak, of course, over on the left-hand side, is still much better than the likes of Paul Griffiths so far, and he is still only 27. So Griffiths is going to have to do a lot to sort of dethrone him from that position just yet. But obviously with the rotation, Griffiths will get that chance, and we'll just have to sort of see as the star ratings go up, because he's not going to get any better, but Griffiths is, and that is really quite important, for me anyway. Peter Oberfule, I love this guy already. I feel like he's producing and producing and producing. He's just getting better and better and better, and it's showing in, you know, his current ability is already 3.5 stars at 19. He's still got max potential for us right now, which is awesome. Can play in both of those wing roles. 16 crossing and 16 dribbling is phenomenal. That great determination. He's got decent stats. Look at some of those acceleration and jumping reach is interestingly very high as well. He's a very tall winger, which is very interesting to see, actually. Look at that. He's nearly 2 meters tall. That's like Juan Cruz level tall. So there's a lot to be said about this guy. And I think next year he probably could end up earning himself a place as our starting left winger. Sorry, my throat's all over the place today, guys. Christopher Olsen, on the other hand, again, so versatile, and he's had a really, really good season himself, actually. After a really kind of, a sort of, not jilted first couple of seasons, but a strange couple of first seasons with the injuries and whatnot. This year he really has marked himself out as a fantastic player, and I think that 16 passing and technique and decent vision as well have really helped him play that attacking role and pick out passes from all over the pitch. Once again, sorry, it's very early today, and as I said, I'm not feeling very well. Humberto Palma. Now, this guy, I sense, has got a really good future for us, because although his stats have gone down here, I think that's due to his... I must have played a reserve game or something for us. No, he's injured. Okay, that must be what it is then. But he came in and he's already got that 2.5 stars. He's got decent finishing. He's a poacher type of player, which is fine. He's not super tall, but he's got a decent amount of pace. Not acceleration is fantastic, but I feel like he's a better player for that kind of advanced forward role, maybe even than someone like Juan Cruz. But with him and Cruz up top, we've got a nice combination of two players that can play those types of roles, and that pleases me greatly. Jonas Peterson, again, he's never played for us. I don't think he ever will. He's just a goalkeeper that's here, filling up that third spot. Jacob Poulsen, he's actually out of contract this summer, and I will let him run out, basically, because hopefully then he will join another Danish team. You feel like he would do. He's been at the club a long time, though, which is nice to see. Martin Pusic, again, will be leaving this summer because I want to move over to a full regen strike force as quickly as can. But again, he's been great. Couldn't get him to join a Danish side, but I think that comes from his nationality. He joined, I can't remember who he's actually joining. Oh, Apple, not Astromitus. Pedro Quiroz, on the other hand, again, I think next year we'll see a lot more from this lad. You know, he was on loan a little bit last year at Randers, came back after he got an injury. I recalled him so we could treat him a little bit better, and I feel like he's got something to offer for us next year as well. I feel like he can maybe earn himself a place in the midfield rotation along with Kerenan and Kirk, those types of players in the midfield. I feel like there's space for him in that role relatively quickly, and he's got a lot to give us. So I don't think he'll be going on loan next year. I think he'll probably be getting first team football. Roma is a man that, you know how much I loved Roma in the first season and a bit of this save, and he's just been slowly wiped out by Alexander Munksgaard's appearance, and he's really struggled to get back into the team. Thankfully, he can play in so many positions that he still finds himself getting a reasonable amount of game times for us. I mean, 24 appearances this year is not superb, but when he has played, he's not scored. I don't think he scored at all, but he's done well enough. Royer, again, he's actually on loan at Eibar at the moment because I could not find a way to get rid of him to a Danish club, and Eibar put in a loan with the option to buy clause, and I just thought, you know what, maybe that's a good deal for us to get rid, because, again, not a lot of space for him in the team anymore, and we want to try and move on and move to a younger, more youthful type of team. Raimi Sakibo. I'm interested to see what the stats play out for this lad. He's 21 years old now, probably one of our strongest centre-backs in terms of what the star ratings would say, and I feel like he's had a better season this year, a 7.18 average rating. He's getting there. 16 heading, 16 marking. The tackling is a little bit low for him, but still, I feel like he's definitely still got room to improve according to the stats up there and my coaches. So I certainly want to see where he goes. Still only worth £350,000. Again, that might come down to the reputation of his nationality and whatnot. Santos, the youngster. The 20-year-old Brazilian, defensive midfielder, solid determination, but I don't know, I'm not sure if he'd be able to fill in for Tim Sparv there just yet, but he's certainly the best we've got as a backup, although Harmeet Singh, of course, can also play in that role, but he's definitely improving right now, and that's nice to see. Shin Kyun Min, he's on loan at Horsens, although he did play some time for us earlier in the season, got a few games. He's done okay out on loan. I feel like there's more to come from him, but unfortunately, as a wing-back type of player, he's got only that 9 crossing, and I don't know how much more that's going to go. Obviously, it will go up, but I'm not sure how much more, and I don't know whether he'll be able to play sort of that Munksgaard type of role for us. Harmeet Singh, the man. I might have to look at getting him on a new contract next year because he's still only 27, and I really like the guy. Plus, without him, we wouldn't have those amazing long-range goals, and it's one of my favourite things about this save, frankly, at times. I'm about to Pione Sister. Right, now let's just switch over to the B team and look at any other regions we brought in over the last couple of seasons. And here we go. Lassina Yao, who joined us, of course, I think in the last window. tell you what, if we can get him a loan spell next year, because we haven't been able to this time around, then he could certainly get some improvements there. Antonio Zupan, of course, has been on loan over at Aalborg, and a reasonable season for them, I suppose. But then again, for a striker, you'd expect a bit more. Then again, he's not really a striker, is he? He's more of a... Actually, I think I might have given him a disservice there by expecting him to score loads of goals. He's more of an attacking mid. And he can play Trek, so he might be one for the future for us to maybe use in that role. You never know. Mikkel Andersen, he's not really one of those players. Anton Andersen, of course, is the guy we brought in from Sweden, who's been playing in the reserves for a little while, but I want to get a loan spell for him next year, maybe. We just couldn't move all of them out on loan. There just weren't enough teams taking them, but next year I'm going to really focus efforts on that. Andres Arrieta, who, of course, wants to leave the club. He's still pissed off about the harsh team talk and has asked to leave about it because, you know, that makes perfect sense. So if we have to leave and move him on to another one of the Danish clubs, then I don't think I'd be that pissed about it, frankly, because it looks like he's got some decent potential and he might be able to be worth a fortune for one of those sides. So, hey, we'll take that if needs be. James Biassi, of course, is another one. He's on loan at Velia, who did really well, I believe, in the first division this year. And he's got 5 goals and 5 assists, and he can play as a Trek. Tell you what, 17 finishing as well. He's had... Look at the stats rise this year. He looks like he's had a really, really good loan spell, and he's got fantastic hair. So, you know, good stuff all around there. Thomas Biacolo, again, he was also on loan at the same club. The one that got promoted. 6 goals, 5 assists for him as well. Those two have been absolutely fantastic out on loan. I'll have to assess them when they actually join us next year. Join up the squad again to see if they're worth keeping for a full year or whether we should get them out on loan again, frankly. Because, hey, you know, if they're going to play that well, who knows? Karpanu, unfortunately, had a pretty appalling time over at Randers and might be one I'll try and move on to another club in Denmark quickly as possible, really, so he gets a restart on his career. I'm loving the sort of shady little moustache there he's got going as well. I don't know whether there are anymore. Christian Damberg, of course. His potential has now slightly fallen off of the top there, but unfortunately he's had a long-term injury this year, and as a result I had to cancel his loan spell. So hopefully a loan spell next year, or maybe some first team time. I'm not entirely sure. I want to bring him through because he's Danish. Nikolai Damshar, again, potential chance for him, but he's on loan at Brøndby. Damn. And I think that is all of them that are sort of those types of players. Jonas Gemma will be joining Nordsjælland at the end of the season, of course. Brian Hansen, Samir Husic, these are all sort of youngsters from our academy. Danny Kenny with his amazing facial hair, and Shelton. So let's take a look at the under-19s and see if there are any more. There's a couple. There's Amir Allah, of course, the Egyptian with the terrible finishing, who I actually thought was someone else when I was signing him. But hey, yeah, he's only got 2 goals on loan at Skiva. I don't know how much longer he'll be here. I think moving him on in the summer might not be such a bad idea as well, just to get him out to another club, basically. There is one other player in this as well that I think is worth talking about, and that is this man. This is Mika Finkru. Everybody knows about Mika. Absolutely tearing it up in the lower divisions for Fredericia. And hey, I mean, as much as I sort of mocked the guy, I thought I saw something in this, and I'm still not sure what yet, but he's demonstrated some quality down there on loan at a poor side, and I wonder if there's room for him in the first team this year. If not, I'll try to get him on loan to a better team to see if he can keep continuing that development, because I really do want him to continue doing that. He's a fullback, he's an attacking fullback on this left-hand side. You know, maybe if he does join us, comes back to us, Paul Griffiths might have a bit of a run for his money in that position, because this guy looks like he really does have some hunger to go and succeed as a footballer, which would be fantastic. 9 caps for Indonesia still, 1 goal. Anyway, let's take a little look at some team stats. Now, this episode might be quite a long one because I want to go through a proper squad report. So again, you know, if it's not your thing, that's totally understandable. But that's why I make them for you guys. Anyway, average possession. Copenhagen really do know how to keep possession, like considerably better than anyone else, which is interesting. We've had 8 penalties this year, which is astonishingly good. Headers 1 ratio, ours is the best now, which is nice to see. It's nice to see that we're up there. Yellow cards, we should be quite near the top. We're a bit of an angry team. Red cards, at least we're a bit lower on it this year than we were in previous seasons, I think, which is nice to see. These ones are not quite so important. Goals, of course, 90. I mean, that's still a lot of goals. I want to see that improve for these guys over the next couple of years. Cross completion ratio, we are dominating, but not... Actually, no, we're not dominating. Copenhagen are right up there behind us, which is nice to see. Crosses completed, we are definitely dominating on that one. Goals from corners, 9 goals we've scored directly from corners this year. That's nice to see. Don't know how many we've conceded, but it definitely feels like it's less than the 6 from the previous year. Goals from direct free kicks, 2 in the entire season, guys. 2. That makes sense, doesn't it? Goals from indirect... Look at that. 10 times Copenhagen have scored from direct free kicks. That's really, really good. Best pass completion in the league as well. I feel like they're a couple of players short of actually being a really good side against us. Pass completion, again, up there at the top, which is interesting to see. Shots on target ratio, we're joint top there, and look at how far down Aalborg got. They must have been taking a lot of shots. Shots on target, with more than 100 more than anyone else. Fouls against, they've actually drawn a lot of fouls as well. They're dribbling more per game than us, but not by much. We're sort of dominating that one too. You can sort of see that they are actually doing quite well on a lot of the stats. They just seem to lose some weird games. We've got the best defensive record in the league this time as well, only conceding 27, most of which was scored by Brøndby, it would feel. Conceding from corners, how many did we do? 4. It's better than last year, but look at that. Næstved, 10 goals conceded from corners. Conceded from direct free kicks is pretty much irrelevant. Interestingly, we had the same number of clean sheets as AGF, though. I think it's because we... that's really surprising, actually. They must have just conceded a lot of goals in other games, too. Fouls made... We're a pretty foully team. Tackles 1, not quite so high, but still not doing too bad. Tackles 1 ratio, I'd like to see us near that. Wow, actually, we're quite low on that, which is surprising because you feel like at least when we're winning our tackles, we should be getting in there. But hey, it's not hugely important for me. Again, these sort of stats aren't quite as important for me as they were with Wimbledon because, of course, I'm not trying to plan of how we can win the league. We know we're going to win the league. My plan for these stats is just to show you guys sort of how the other teams are doing in a way. Average attendance, of course, they're going to be top on that one. We're not going to look at new stadium stuff until such time as we've got that spare income because at the moment it's just not worth it. There we go, though. Best attendances by Cat, and we had 1 sellout, as did Hobro and Randers, to be fair to them. Let's see, net transfer spend. But look at that. Our net transfer spend is minus nearly 9 million, which shows we're making decent profit. Interestingly, Copenhagen's is also minus 2 million. So that's interesting. But interestingly, Odense actually... Yeah, they spent money this time around. Salaries per annum, we're certainly catching up with Copenhagen, but we're not there yet. Look at that, 600,000 Næstved spent that year, and we've spent nearly just over 7 million. So we're still 2 million short on Copenhagen. They really should be better than they are. How are we doing for finances on these teams? A lot of them are secure, okay, secure. Only one team is insecure, and that's Hobro. So as long as the other teams aren't insecure, that's fine. I wish one of them would be rich, but that's just not how it is working for us at the moment, is it? Let's take a little look at the players. So most player of the match awards is Sister with 12, but Munksgaard got 7, and Olsen got 6. We have 3 of the top 4 players, which is pretty damn ridiculous, but awesome as well. Sisto beat out Munksgaard by a single fraction of a point to get the average rating crown as well, but Sobby was in there, and look at that, 4 of the top 5 as well, and Kirk also in the top 10, and then Juan Cruz, even though he didn't really play, I suppose he did, I guess. That shows me some good things for us in the future. Top goal scorer, though, was Uther. I don't know how to pronounce that. Is it Uth? I'm not entirely sure on that one. He's German, so maybe. But 24 goals in the league for them. I just feel like they're really close to achieving something quite decent. They're just not quite there yet. Shots on target, Olsen not bad as well, actually. Sobby, it's nice to see him doing so well. But look at that. Is it Tichosen? Doing a decent job there with 58%. Team goals, Johan Dahlin has been on the pitch for every single one of our goals in the league, but Sakibo's up there as well, which is interesting to see. Penalties, we've had a lot of players take penalties for us this year, as you can see, so there's no real decided stat on that one. Munksgaard with 16 assists, but look at that again, players up, even Obifule, who hasn't even played super loads of times, has got 7 in the league. That's definitely a promising thing to see. Olsen, Munksgaard and Sisto all dominating the key passes, and Johan Dahlin with the best pass completion in the league, but Kirk is nice to see up there, and Keronen, and even Kirosh. That is very promising to see. Cross completion, I want to see some players of ours on here somewhere. Look at that, Sobby, Sisto and Munksgaard. That is incredibly good to see. Those stats right there say a lot to me about our cross completion, obviously, because that's what it is, for crying out loud. Dribbles per game, Sisto flying ahead, nearly a point above anyone else, and nearly 2 points, in fact more than 2 points above third place. Amazing stuff. Team conceded, Filip Novak has only been on the pitch for 14 goals conceded this year. The man clearly can defend, that's for sure. It shows you what a good player he actually is from a defensive standpoint, but I guess it's because he's sort of inexperienced understudy is usually the one filling in there. So, tackles per game, Alexander Munksgaard, interestingly, wins a lot of tackles as well. This man can do it all. He really can do it all. Let's see, mistakes. I'd like to think Munksgaard's made quite a few mistakes this year too. Well, swings and roundabouts and all that jazz. Key tackles, not a single one up there, but I guess it's because we're not really in a position to make that many key tackles. Key headers, we might not have anyone on there either, no. Yeah, it would be Næstved and Silkeborg players that are dominating that one, I suppose. Interceptions, I feel like we should have... Nope, okay, I suppose it's because we're not playing that defensive mid so much, and as a result, it's not quite... Yeah, not being in those positions. Best goalkeeper, only just by Ethan Horvath. Oh, he's an American. I didn't know that. Only 3 more, though, so it's not too bad on that one. Clean sheets for him. 20 clean sheets. And Kostel Pantilimon doing a great job for AGF. And I think he might be one of the reasons why they've done so well this year. Keeping those clean sheets, certainly important to have. Saves held. Again, wow, there's a regen keeper in goal for Næstved, and he's got the best one. Lars Clausen. Let's have a look at this lad. Now, of course, we don't know much about him because he's Danish and I'm not scouring them. Okay. Still, it's interesting to see that already. Saves parried as well. You know, Lars Clausen is right up there as well. There's a few more of them, actually. Regen keepers. That's nice to see. There's an African one as well, I think. Or is he just Danish? is Ghanaian. And look at those earrings. Yes, that's what I like to see, guys. Right, now let's get into the meat and things and actually start taking a look at some of the player stats in a little bit more depth. But it's still probably not going to be as in-depth as it used to be, just because we don't have as much analysis to do, per se, at this point. Right, so Johan Darling, we thought we'd just take a quick gander at him. 76% save ratio, decent pass completion, is all very nice. He's saving way more than he's parrying, which in fact he's saving a lot more than he's parrying, which is really, really good to see. 20 clean sheets, 27 conceded. I don't really know what else to say. I think the goalkeeper in this team is a little bit incidental at the moment, but I would like to see us develop a decent keeper anyway, because European games are going to need that extra level of quality. And Darlene has provided that at times. He's made some really good saves in those games, but I feel like a really world-class keeper, if he can not bring one in, obviously, but bring one through, then we really could be onto something there. And I think that could be our saving grace later down the line. I know how much Galfrascoli was a big saviour for Wimbledon. I feel like he really did shape the rest of that save by making us so solid at the back. And I think Darlene probably won't be able to do that for us, but I'm hoping someone like Fernandez could be that man for us. So, fullbacks. Now, what I'm really looking for from my fullbacks, although it depends on what wing they're playing, of course, is cross completion, tackles 1 ratio, and pass completion to a lesser extent, really, and obviously the number of assists they're getting too. So let's take a little look at tackles 1 ratio. Paul Griffiths and Philip Novak, no surprises, have won more tackles because that's generally what that role is there for. Mook scored much lower, and so is Shin Kun Min. Interestingly, the same levels, although Roma does win a few more tackles, which might be... Then again, he's done okay when he has played further forward, but then when you look at cross-completion ratios, Mook scored is right up there, and Shin Kun Min, actually, he's got the same, really. But again, these guys are slightly lower. This is what I mean about Shin Kun Min. I'd like to have him when he plays, anyway. He's not played that many minutes, but a bit higher on the cross completion. But again, it might come down to the fact that he just doesn't have that very good crossing, really. Look at that, 22 assists is crazy. Paul Griffiths did get a couple, though, whereas then again, he's also played twice the number of minutes, so that does bear out there. Pass completion, Mook scored nice and high on pass completion. They're all relatively decent, above 70, except for Shin Kun Min. Again, I'd like to see that a bit higher, really, as things go on. Now, what else can we really look at here? Average ratings, of course, is important to see anyway, just to show you that they've got decent rankings now. On headers 1, Paul Griffiths does seem to win a few decent headers, which is nice to see that he's got that part of his game, whereas Mook scored, he's just not really there on the old headers front, but that's fine. I'll let him have that. Key passes, on the other hand, 232 of them. Wow. I mean, seriously, 232 key passes from a right-back is that's like Javi Manquillo. I don't think even Javi Manquillo used to get that kind of levels. Mistakes, he's made a lot of mistakes, and I think that's what I mean. Areas where that position could be improved is a player with better crossing and vision and things like that, and maybe just better concentration and stuff like that maybe could make that position even more deadly. But he's doing a great job for now. Until someone else comes in and shows him the way, then he's going to be playing in that role, isn't he, really? Let's face it. Decent number of interceptions as well, but Hansen up there too, but of course more of a centre-back. So let's take a little look at centre-backs while we are here. Let me just quickly switch these around, and we're on to defenders. So we're really looking at well, we'll ignore Tim Spa for now because he's mostly going to have played as a midfielder. That's where I've mostly tried to use him. Mistakes leading to goals. Firstly, they've all made 1. Bangard's made 2. I mean, and really he shouldn't have. Because he's actually played less minutes than both Sakibo and Hansen this season. So for him to have made that, yeah, it's a bit shitty. He's also made less key tackles than both Sakibo and Hansen by quite some amount. And I feel like Greenwood, if he'd played that amount, would have made well more tackles than him as well in terms of key tackles. A few assists, a couple of goals, mostly from headers and stuff like that. In fact, almost always going to be from headers. My chair just broke again, always fun. Greenwood a little bit lower on the pass completion, but I think, as he improves with age, that could hopefully improve. Sakibo's looking much more on point, if you like. He's looking much more sort of in tow with the other players now. 73% pass completion as well, nicely in there. Winning more tackles, definitely, than anyone else as well. So that's nice to see. With his tackles 1 ratio. Actually, that's quite important, isn't it? What we're talking about. Why did we miss that? 89% tackles 1 ratio for him. Sakibo, 88%. That is much, much more like it from him. He really does seem to have blossomed this year into a really solid centre-back. I think he seems to have removed a lot of the errors from his game that he had last year. But it's great to see them all up there above 85, and Greenwood with 89. Hey, I think there's a lot to come from him, but of course over a much shorter period of time. So if he could achieve that over 2,000 minutes, then I'd be really, really on board with him. Average rating, Hansen tops it out, but again, they're all getting above a 7 over a huge amount of games, so that's good. Sakibo's definitely improved on that front as well. Headers 1, this is the thing, though. I would like to see more headers 1 by Sakibo and Hansen. They're both down below, well, nearly below 70, whereas Bangard and Greenwood 87 and 84 respectively. I feel like a Greenwood-Sakibo partnership might be something quite fruitful in the future, as they do play a slightly different type of game as well. Looking at key headers, again, I mean, Greenwood's made 27 key headers, and he'd be right up there as well if he'd played this decent. I wish there was a way that you could average that out, like headers per game. or headers per minute type of thing, or some kind of ratio like that. I mean, I'm sure I could work it out, but again, I wish there was a kind of metric we could use for this one. Headers 1 per 90 minutes. Look at that, Greenwood and Banker. Nearly 10 headers a game Greenwood is winning. He's an absolute dominator in the air, and that could come really handy, I think, potentially in Europe. Then again, I don't know, you kind of need a bit of both. You want a player that can win headers and tackles at the same time, and he kind of does. He just lacks a little bit with his passing side of the game. But when it comes to in the air, 84% headers 1 ratio is great, 89% tackles 1. There's a lot to come from him, and I think we'll begin to see that over the next couple of seasons. I really do. Now on to centre, attacking, and defensive mid. So it's quite a big sort of spread of things, basically. Mistakes leading to goals, firstly. Hansen and Kerenan's actually made one. Yeah, I think we all remember when that was. I think he gave the ball away twice in one game. Or was that a different match? I don't know. I feel like if anyone's going to make one, he's the man for it. Tackles 1 ratio. Sparv with 83 is good. Singh 81. That's nice to have someone else above 80s there. Kirosh 75. Kerenan and Kirk seem to be a little bit lacking on that front, whereas Kirosh does seem to have slightly more bite to his game. The likes of Juland, again, I mean, he's barely played in the middle, so we can't really judge him on that one. We're ignoring cross completion because, again, it's centres at the moment. Key tackles, I mean, Hansen's made a couple, not Hansen, well, he has. Kirk and Sparv have made some. Kirk has made a lot of key tackles, actually, for a player that never plays as the defensive player in the tactic, which is interesting to see, if nothing else. Pass completion, Kerenan 81, Kiros 80, Kirk 80. Those three, clearly Kirosh is ready to play in those roles because he's done well and shown me that quality in the games he's played. Santos isn't that far behind. Singh is up there too. Is anyone really struggling in those roles? Sparv a little bit less, but again, it might be because he has been deployed at centre-back a few times and it is difficult to analyse him a little bit more than some of the other ones. Average rating for those midfielders, Christopher Olsen, superb. And look at some of those assists and goals. He has an astonishingly good season. I'll be surprised if we don't have big bids from big clubs after him over in the summer, I have to say. Looking at headers 1, now it's not that hugely important, but look at that, 89% headers 1 ratio for Santos. He's played 500 minutes of football. It's not like it's just one game he's played. He's winning a lot of headers, and I wonder if there might be something to him playing as the defensive midfielder if Sparv was to move on in the summer. It might be an option. Perhaps not for us just yet, but it's certainly there to look for in the future. Key headers again, Santos, I mean, look at that, 25 key headers already in 500 minutes of football. I mean, that's a lot. If he was to play... That is an incredibly large amount of key headers that Santos is actually winning now. That's very, very surprising to see how many... Oh, wait, no. Still, actually, I tell you what, that's still not bad. Even if he was to play 2,000 minutes, say the same as Tim Sparv, he would in theory have won like 60. Obviously, you can't really extrapolate it out like that, but that's just what I'm doing right now because I have no other choice. Mistakes... How many mistakes has Santos made? He's not made a huge number, 12. It's not too bad. Although then again, I feel like if he played more games, he would have made more mistakes, of course, than Sparv. So again, it's a little bit like that on the other hand. Now, interceptions, you'd expect the likes of Sparv to be right up there. I'd expect Santos to have made a fair few as well, 42. Yeah, probably comes into about the right sort of level. Headers 1, again, Santos should be right up there, but Hansen, of course, we can kind of ignore. So, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with our midfielders. Nobody's really standing out as being particularly poor. Let me just take a quick gander at things like key passes, because it should be Olsen and Sobby. Olsen with 270, superb. Kerenan a little bit lacking on that one, but he has played a few less games overall. Singh and Kirk in there as well. Now, let's move on to the wingers, because this is where a lot of our moves are coming from these days. Okay, so wingers, what we're really interested in. Firstly, let's take a little look at tackles. Novak, not really relevant. Obifule, he can win a tackle too. Always nice to see. It's always needed. Whereas some of these sort of players seem a bit lightweight out on the wing. Sisto could do a little bit better. McWalter looks like he's got a bit about him, but again, not really enough games for me to judge him. But Sobby and Obifule can win some tackles. That's nice to see. Cross completion ratio, however. Wow, Jacob Poulsen, interesting. Pione Sisto 23, Sobby 20, 15 for McWalter in the games he's played. Obifule only 13. If he can improve that a little bit, he could... Then again, look at that. 9 goals, 7 assists from only 16 starts. Maybe there's still some more to come from him if he can just improve that cross completion a little bit more. When you think that Sobby would have played there a few times this season, and maybe... Then again, he's not really played out on the left much this year. He's been more through the middle at times. Actually, well, let's just have a look ourselves. We can physically check that out by looking on his information screen. This season, he has played... Actually, what am I talking about? 26 games down there, though he has played better through the middle, it would certainly suggest. Let's see if there's anything else. Favoured clubs. Well, at least he favours that. He actually favours me too, which is nice to see. So, yeah, I feel like they're doing a good job. There's no real... I mean, McWalter and Obifule are all sort of down this left. We need some players to come in on the right-hand side, some youngsters to come in on the right, because it's basically just Sisto, and then Sobby has to fill in when he's out. We've not really got players queuing up to be amazing on that right just yet, but we're getting there, I feel. We're getting there. That's the plan anyway. Pass completion, McWalter again, 81. Whereas the likes of Sobby, it's still above 75, which is fine. Sisto 75. Nobody's really dropped hugely on that one. Novak a little bit lower, but again, he's not really that type of player. But it's good to see McWalter. He's certainly showing signs for me. Decent tackles 1, decent cross completion, decent passing. over that short space of time that suggests that he might actually have something about him. Decent shots on target ratio, but again, he's probably had like 3 or 4 shots. So let's not read too much into that. Headers won, Obifule obviously strong in the air, 77% headers won ratio, and I think that's going to make a lot of difference, particularly with him getting in at the back post, acting as that kind of like what Imran Baltam used to do for Wimbledon. I feel like he might have that ability about him, getting in at the back post. Not that he's a particularly good Raumdeuter. He's actually unhappy at the moment, which is interesting. Why is he unhappy? We don't know. Okay, cool. Probably wanted to leave. Some usual crap like that. Probably not getting enough football. 32 games this season. Key headers, not really so relevant for the wingers, but Juan Cruz, of course, will win a lot of headers because he's absolutely bloody massive. Key passes, on the other hand, how's Obifule doing on that one? 35, but I would have maybe liked to seen a few more from him. Then again, Sisto dominating. I mean, he really is an absolute dominant force there. Same number of mistakes as well. No one of our wingers have made mistakes leading to goals, which is always pleasant. Interceptions. Have any of our wingers made a load of those? Sobby's made a decent amount of the interceptions as well, which is certainly interesting to note. Shots per 90 minutes. Sisto gets quite a few of them. Obifule a little bit less. And the likes of McWalter, 1 a game. That's not too bad, really, is it? So far, which means he's probably had 6 shots, I'm guessing, if we average that out over, of course, that. Now, let's take a look at the strikers. And there's a strange bunch this time because we've not really got a lot in the tank when it comes to strikers. That's just all sides. That's what we want. So we've got Arrieta, Palmer, Ibrahim, Cruz, and Pusic, and there's quite a spread. And none of them have played huge minutes this season just because of the way things have gone. So tackles one, not hugely important, but it's nice to see the likes of Palmer and Ibrahim. Only one that's really not contributing there at all is Arrieta. He's the only one that is noticeably lower than the other guys. I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe it's just his attitude. Don't want to track back, none of that crap. Anyway, a key tackle as well from Cruz. Might have been when he was playing out on the right for that one game, though. It has to be said. Goals, Cruz has got 12. He's the top scoring striker on the team. Pusic with 8. Ibrahim 6, although, of course, out on loan. Palmer got 3 in 3 appearances, and Arrieta got 2 as well. A couple of assists for him as well. So any striker that's come in and played this year has actually done a reasonable job for us. Nobody's really flopped so far this season. The only one that's got a rating lower than 7 on average is Martin Pusic, as you can see with that 6.96. But again, he would have been deployed a lot off the bench as a left winger a few times. So again, that'll probably drag that down slightly, you'd think. Pass completion, again, 85% for Palmer. Look, he's only played 146 minutes, so we can kind of ignore that a little bit. Ibrahim with 81, though, is solid. Arrieta, I mean, Juan Cruz is the lowest one on that one, surprisingly. It's still above 70, but I'd like to see him up towards the 78, really, over the course of next season. If he gets a full season, I feel like he can do that. But if not, we might have to take a look at that, because maybe his passing stats just a little bit lower than some of the others. 11. I'd like to see a bit more from him. Obviously, it's not just passing. It comes down to vision and all that sort of stuff as well. But shots on target. I'm looking at 54%, and again, Pusic down on 39, and Palmer only 33% so far, but again, not played that many games. He showed me some glimpses of quality in the games that he has played, which makes me think he'll be getting plenty of game time for us next year. I don't see any, I see like, Ibrahim might go out on loan, but Cruz and Palmer are going to be starting, and we might have a third one come in the window to sort of act as that third choice striker. Get Arrieta out entirely. He's wanted away by other clubs, so we might have to try and move him on in the summer, because I just feel like his attitude doesn't suit us, and we don't want an unhappy player wrestling the squad around and doing all kinds of weird shit like that. That's the last thing we need right now. Headers one, obviously there should be one man dominating that, and interestingly he isn't. Despite his height, he's only won 58% of his headers, which is not as many more of the other players that I would have expected. He's actually got less than Pusic. That really should be into the 70s for me. But I don't know, like, he's played the most minutes as well, so it's the most reasonable figure. I feel like next year, those are areas that he really does need to work on, really, because I want to see a bit more from him in that sense. Key headers, he's won a lot of key headers, but I would like to see him win more headers overall in general. Key passes, again, he's made most of them, but obviously has the lowest pass completion. He's played the most games. That kind of makes sense. Made the most mistakes as well. So again, that's quite a lot of mistakes for a striker, or it certainly feels like. He's made a decent number of interceptions as well, and does win a lot of headers every 90 minutes, but not that many more than Junior Ibrahim. But again, Ibrahim might have been deployed as an attacking mid, because he can play there as well. He's just not a very good trek, so it depends on where Randers has been playing him, really, doesn't it? Shots on target per 90 minutes. Shots per 90 minutes. Arrieta with 3.8. He certainly knows how to shoot, that's for sure. Whereas someone like Cruz seems to be a little bit more precise with their shooting. That's what I would say about it. He's a little bit more picky. And he does have that looks for pass rather than to shoot. And I think that kind of helps in some respects, because in the type of system we play, it's the one thing, with players shooting from stupid angles, he seems more likely to actually look for those passes, and that might explain the 6 assists he's got this season as well. So anyway, guys, that'll probably do it for this episode, because it's probably going to be in excess of 40 minutes again. I'm trying to show as much as I can, but again, I feel like crap at the moment, so it's been difficult for me the last couple of days to even produce videos, and I've got to go and record a transfer window episode straight after this, so again, I apologise in advance if I do have to take a break at some point, because it's getting a bit much for me now. So, if you have enjoyed this, do drop a like on the video, that'd be awesome, and if you're new to the channel, and for some reason this is the first video of mine you're watching, do hit the like button, that'd be awesome as well. And I will join you guys in the next episode tomorrow for hopefully some transfer goodies, unless something really bad happens to me. Then I will see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.